the game with his sixth home run in his last night games. Don't worry about Albert. He is looking like himself again. So let's talk about these two outstanding talents. First with Joey Votto, not quite the household name that Albert Pujols is, but a very special player.
A special player, and from Canada, so you think he's special for sure, Dan. And what he does is loves the competition. He likes to compete against the pitcher. He likes to compete against the other team. And tonight, he really enjoys competing against Albert Pujols, the MVP from prior years. Joey's the MVP from last year, and Dusty says, hey, beat Albert. And last night, Joey tried to do that.
And Joey Votto's off to a terrific start this year. He's hitting .392 on the season right now, a very focused, intense guy who looks like he is bound and determined to put up the same kinds of numbers that he did a year ago. Now, first 10 days of the season or so, everybody's saying, what's wrong with Albert? What's wrong with Albert Pujols? Put us into the pitcher's mind out there. If you're looking at him right now, is there anything wrong with Albert Pujols?
Well, the first thing a pitcher does is you say, where can I get somebody out? And if you can't get him out like Albert Pujols, you go, where do I go for the least amount of damage? Well, with Albert Pujols, I don't think there's a place. And you watch this video, every pitch that he hits is somewhere else. It's a breaking ball. It's a high fastball. It's a fastball in. It's a fastball up. It's a slow breaking ball. And it's to every place of the field. This may be the greatest hitter ever. 10 years, 30 home runs at least, 100 RBIs at least, and a 300 batting average at least. His worst is hard to attain by everybody else.
He's been the MVP or the runner-up for the Most Valuable Player award in the National League in 7 of his 10 years in the majors. Incredible stuff. Let's send it down to the field now. Wendy Nix is with Cardinals shortstop Ryan Theriot.
Dan, thank you, Ryan. We asked your manager earlier this afternoon who you reminded him of. His answer, David Eckstein. What does that say to you?
I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to Tony about that one. I'm much better looking than David, I think. No, I mean, David's a great player, you know, and a guy that he's done some great things. World Series MVP, a champion. So, yeah, it's a compliment.
What's the best approach tonight against Edinson Volquez?
You got to hit his fastball, you know. The guy's got really good secondary stuff, and, you know, a pitcher I've seen quite a bit in the division. Really good pitcher, good fastball, so hopefully he'll leave a few up.
Ryan, thank you. Buster?
Wendy, I'm here with Jay Bruce. Jay, you're facing Jake Westbrook, sinker ball pitcher tonight. What's your plan of attack?
You know what, just kind of look for a pitch in my zone. I try to have an approach that works for me. I try not to change too terribly much to the pitcher's, game. He's been around a long time, so you just got to hit my pitch and, make sure not to chase his.
How would you describe the rivalry right now between the Reds and the Cardinals?
I think it's great. To be a team that has a rivalry with anyone is obviously good because that means you're probably both doing something right. There's some history there. Honestly, over 5 years ago there wasn't much of a rivalry here, so for us, they've accomplished a lot in their tenure as an organization, and so have we. So to kind of bring that to today, and 2 winning teams going after, last year was a battle the whole year, and I'm just looking forward to it. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Jay, thanks. Dan, back to you.
Buster, Wendy, thank you very much. Also coming up on tonight's show, we'll look in a little more detail at the rivalry that has developed between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds in the last couple of years. Also, the Baseball Tonight game will show you some of the great performances from another busy Sunday around the major leagues, and we'll dig a little bit deeper into the career of Stan Musial, one of the baseball's all-time greats and a legend, of course, here in the great city of St. Louis. On the mound tonight for the Cincinnati Reds, right-hander Edinson Volquez, hoping to avoid the first-inning problems that have plagued him so far this season. Jake Westbrook hoping to keep the ball down, get some ground balls, and get a job done for the Cardinals tonight. The first pitch is coming up.
to tourists, and to those who'd rather stay home, preferably on the couch, this city means beer. But the people who live here know better. This town is about baseball.
They do love their baseball here in St. Louis. Matt Holliday signing some autographs for some Cardinal fans before the game tonight. The rubber match of this 3-game series between the Cardinals and Reds here in St. Louis, where weather, not baseball, weather has been the dominant story here in the Midwest over the last couple of days. On Friday, a tornado ripping through St. Louis, closing Lambert International Airport, which is still not back to 100% capacity. This is Bridgeton, Missouri, just a few miles northwest of downtown St. Louis. Miraculously, no one was killed in the tornado, but there is a lot of devastation and a lot of people who have lost their homes. The Cardinals, by the way, have made a donation to the cause to help people out with the recovery from the tornado. There is the potential again of severe weather here tonight. Heavy rain, possible flash flooding. It has not rained in the last couple of hours. It rained most of the day. But that weather is apparently headed this way. Whether it skirts by the city, we'll have to wait and see. For now, we got a baseball game to bring you, but the weather again is a consideration through the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley tonight and into tomorrow, with heavy rains in the forecast. The umpires are at home plate. John Hirschbeck will work the plate. He's the crew chief tonight. And this is where a little of the controversy started on Friday. They only played 2 minutes, 6 pitches on Friday night before they had to stop the game for over 2 hours when the big storm hit. You can follow Buster Olney and Wendy Nix on Twitter tonight. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ESPN Baseball Tonight. A very relaxed Dusty Baker before the game. Both the Reds and Cardinals are 11-10 right now. Dusty, of course, coming off that National League Central Division title for the Cincinnati Reds last year. And boy, a lot of people think he's got the horses to do that, maybe a little bit more here in 2011. Time now for the Cincinnati Reds starting lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Drew Stubbs, Brandon Phillips, who will get booed loudly, and the reigning MVP Joey Votto, the top third of the lineup. Johnny Gomes is hitting cleanup. Scott Rowland went on the DL today. That chronically troublesome left shoulder is acting up again. Jay Bruce fifth. Miguel Cairo filling in at third base for Rowland and batting sixth. The catcher is Ryan Hannigan. Paul Janisch, an outstanding defensive shortstop, is batting eighth. And the pitcher and number 9 hitter is Edinson Volquez for the Cincinnati Reds. As the Cardinals, in their spiffy home white uniforms, take the field. Led by tonight's starting pitcher, Jake Westbrook. At one point, Oral, a guy, I mean, he was breaking bats and using that sinker. He still gets a lot of ground balls. They're just getting hit a little bit harder. The numbers are not impressive for Westbrook so far.
He has gotten off to a slow start, a notorious slow starter. In his career, in March and April, he is 7-18. And it is about his aggressive spirit. And when he is aggressive, he gets ground balls. And the ground balls have been very successful this year. You look at that ratio of 1.70, and you compare his ERA to what his career is at 9.82 right now. He's getting ground balls. He's actually getting more in 2011 than he's ever gotten. But they're harder. He's giving up home runs, and he's walking too many people.
So he'll need his defense behind him. And defense has been a bit of a sore spot for the Cardinals at times this year. In the outfield, Holiday at left, Colby Rasmussen center. Lance Berkman is back as a full-time outfielder this year for the first time in 7 years, really, playing as a regular out there. Daniel Descalso and Ryan Theriot on the left side of the infield. David Freese getting a night off at third base. Nick Punto for the injured Skip Schumacher at second. Albert Pujols at first. And, of course, Yadier Molina doing the catching for Westbrook. Bobby, the defense for the St. Louis Cardinals, where does it stack up?
It does not stack up. Interestingly enough, they've only given up 3 unearned runs thus far in this season, but they have many players who are below average defensively. Albert, Molina might be above average, Molina for sure, and Rasmus, but other than that, everyone's below average out there.
And they're playing a very young, athletic, and confident team in the Cincinnati Reds. These two teams will meet 15 times here during the 2011 season. This is the first series between the two. Last year, Cincinnati won the division with 91 wins. St. Louis finished second with 86 wins. They had that brawl in August in Cincinnati. Ready to go here on this Sunday night with Drew Stubbs leading it off for the Reds. Nice combination of speed and power. And over over 20 home runs last year, stole over 30 bases. And the first pitch from Westbrook is in there for a called strike. It does not feel like we are surrounded by potentially severe weather. It doesn't feel like a humid night, and it's actually cooled off some after the rain from this afternoon, but apparently it's coming. Hopefully it'll miss us or not be as severe as they're saying. A lot of people in this area have been out pulling tree branches and power lines and stuff like that. There was a ton of damage in this area over the last couple of days.
The rain that we had today really has never gotten as heavy as it was yesterday. It was just more of that mist today.
Chopper to third. Descalso, one down. So that'll bring up the least liked man in St. Louis right now, Brandon Phillips.
Second baseman, Brandon Phillips.
All started last year when Phillips had some particularly harsh words for the St. Louis Cardinals players and their organization, and then he really incited the brawl when he tapped the shin guard of Yadier Molina, who said, hey, you can't be saying that about me and my teammates and then trying to be my buddy when you come to the plate. And then it was on. The strike taken.
And I think he's allowed a new definition of boo-birds here in St. Louis, where you usually don't have them, but the Cardinal fans are booing.
As Buster Olney told us a little bit earlier, Phillips was even booed in the mall a couple of days ago. Back to the mound. 2 down. So a promising start for Westbrook, getting a couple of ground ball outs, and that brings up the 2010 National League MVP Joey Votto, who's getting booed a little bit, but this is more booing out of respect rather than booing out of anger, which is what Phillips was getting. Votto off to a great start this year, hitting .392 as we check in with live K-Zone here in this at-bat. And a little bit up and away for ball one.
Votto has outstanding power to center field. One of the few guys who could hit those very high fly balls and get over to center field fence.
In the air down the left field line. Holiday rumbling over and will not have a play in foul territory. Had to come a long way for that ball that initially appeared like it would stay in play in fair territory. Not much of a breeze tonight. A little bit toward the left field line and just enough evidently to carry it out of Holiday's reach.
And when a left-hander hits a ball down the opposite foul line, or a right-hander for that matter down the opposite foul line, that ball will always come back toward the field. So Holiday ran over there and thought it was in the stands, and it just about came back into the very little foul territory that there is on the field.
Oral, we've seen all three of the pitches from Westbrook, known for his sinker. They've all been up, way up.
Yeah, to Votto right here, they went away and he missed, and then they've tried to come in twice.
That one down, and he gets the ground ball. So Westbrook retires the Reds in order on grounders here to the top of the first. The Cardinals are coming up, which means we're going to look at Albert Pujols batting third in the bottom of the first here at Busch Stadium. Think outside the bun. And in part by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first. The third winningest manager in Major League history, Tony La Russa, at the helm, of course, as always, for the St. Louis Cardinals. And we'll check out the lineup for the Cardinals tonight, presented by Taco Bell. Ryan Theriot leads off. Colby Rasmus in center field batting second. Albert Pujols at first base batting third. Matt Holliday missed just over a week after an appendectomy. He's back in there swinging a great bat right now. Lance Berkman is as well. Daniel Descalso giving David Freese a night off. Yadier Molina catching it, batting seventh. Nick Punto at second base batting eighth, and Jake Westbrook on the mound and batting ninth against Cincinnati right-hander Edinson Volquez, who's had one big problem so far this year, Oral, and it's this very first inning.
First inning is a big inning for him. He really needs to take it as a shutdown inning. You see his first inning ERA is 29.25. How does that break down? That is 4 innings total. 12 hits, 13 runs, 4 home runs. Those 4 home runs, 2 back-to-back home runs by leadoff hitter and second hitter. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh did that to him. So this hitter right here, he wants to get on the beam right away.
A strike taken by Theriot. Newcomer to St. Louis this year, the starting shortstop. He can swing the bat, hitting over 300. The defense has been questioned often during his career, and he's committed 6 errors already on the season. Of course, Brendan Ryan now with Seattle, the former Cardinals shortstop.
Dan, when you struggle in the first inning, you have to become your own closer and reverse the game. This is a shutdown inning for him to get off to a good start.
Well, Dusty Baker telling us before the game he thinks it's a mental thing with Edinson Volquez, that they talked about preparation, and every question Dusty asked him, he felt he got the proper answer from Volquez. I mean, what a difference from the first inning to every other inning he's pitched so far this year. Grounder to short. And Volquez retires the first batter he faces tonight. Young Cardinals fans scoring the game here up in the upper deck of the Busch Stadium. Getting ready for Colby Rasmus, who's really coming into his own after finishing last year strong. Rasmus now in his 3rd year in the big leagues. Tony La Russa said pregame, Bobby, he's getting better by the day.
The more success he has, the better he's going to feel at the plate. He's a very talented young man who had his disagreements with Tony, but I think they're settled down. That might help his approach at the plate.
Well located inside corner fastball there from Volquez. The count is 0-1. Cairo in even with a bag at third. The infielders playing Rasmus to pull. The outfield is pretty much straight away. Rasmus hitting .349 on the season. Good changeup down and away that Rasmus chases, and the count quickly 0-2.
Well, I like the fact that he's throwing his off-speed pitch here in the first inning, not trying to overthrow and get people out with just his fastball. He's establishing a good changeup, which will make his fastball so much better.
Just outside.
You come into a game with a lot of adrenaline, especially the 3rd game of this big series with all the rivalry and hype around these two teams, from the brawl from last year to the managerial tactics that have happened in the last 2 days. And you really want to get off to a good start, and it's hard to get that out of your mind when you've had such rough first innings.
Went off speed again, and he gets Rasmus swinging, 2 down. That'll bring up Albert Pujols.
First baseman, Albert Pujols.
Two down, nobody on as Pujols steps in. 7 home runs already on the season. With Troy Tulowitzki and Ryan Braun for the National League lead. And this is after over the first 10 days of the season. And Pujols is off to an uncharacteristically slow start. As we check in with live K-Zone again, Oral, to see how they try to deal with Pujols.
You can see Ryan Hannigan in the back and how the target then relates to where he wants the ball and how that relates to the strike zone. And with 2 out, nobody on, this is the best time to face Albert.
Sharply hit into right field, a base hit. And the pitch was pretty much, Oral, exactly where Hannigan wanted it, but Albert hit it hard the other way.
Slightly elevated for an 0-1 fastball. You're coming back-to-back with the same pitch. It gets a little bit more of the plate that he wants and a little bit too high on the height.
And there's that perfect balance swing. Hands above the ball, getting firm on the front side, and directing that ball to right field where the shift was not. Phillips was playing up the middle, and there was no one on the right side of the infield for a base hit.
And we're looking at the last two National League MVPs chatting over there at first base, and Pujols and Votto. Here's Matt Holliday. What an amazingly quick recovery Holliday made from an emergency appendectomy that he underwent on the 1st of April. Was back playing 9 days later, missed only 7 games, and has continued to tear the cover off the ball. Right now with Pujols third, Holliday fourth, and Lance Berkman hitting fifth and hitting great. As Tony La Russa says, he's got 3 professional, experienced hitters in the middle of that lineup. All can hit for power, all can hit for average. Big swing and a miss. Holliday hitting .412 right now.
They really want to establish something hard in on this at-bat with that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You won't see that off-speed stuff down and on the plate.
Just missed.
That is
I agree with you.
That is Edison Volquez's 13th pitch. And let's see what K-Zone says. Strike when it lights up. Bottom of the strike zone, the hollow of the knee. Not the top of the knee, the hollow of the knee is the strike zone. 13 pitches. He's averaged 32 in first innings this year, so he's on pace to have a good first inning. Not only 2 on, or 1 on and 2 out, but had a chance to keep his pitch count down and go deeper in the game.
And Earl, it's good to point out that that strike zone's at the front of the plate, and where the catcher's catching it is about 3 feet back from where the strike zone actually is. So the ball might be out of the zone when it's caught and in the zone when it's in the strike zone.
Pujols had 14 stolen bases a year ago, actually led the Cardinals in that category. He's got 1 so far this year. He's running. Holliday takes inside, high throw down to second, and Pujols steals it, and then doesn't bite on the little fake there that Phillips was trying to give him out at second base. Stayed on the bag.
Well, they kept coming with that inside fastball. It was 96. It was up and in. Albert had a great jump on the high leg kick of Volquez. Hennigan gets the inside pitch, does not transfer very well, and throws the ball high to second base. It's a tough ball for a catcher to throw. You really have to exchange your feet. Have that right foot replacing the left foot. He never really did. Stayed open and threw it high.
So Pujols in scoring position with 2 down, and the count in Holliday's favor at 3 balls and 1 strike. And right there for strike 2, a full count. These are the top 2 offensive teams in the National League. The Reds are first in the National League in runs scored right now. The Cardinals are second. Volquez trying to get out of this without any damage, which would be a first for him this year in the first inning. Coming inside again. Got him. Volquez at 95 miles an hour gets Holliday. And the Cardinals will leave Pujols on in scoring position in the bottom of the first. Dan Schulman to Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, Wendy Nix, and the Baseball Tonight gang here as well. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, the Reds and the Cardinals. No scores. We go to the second inning. Jake Westbrook got the Reds in order by the top of the first. That means he will face the cleanup hitter Johnny Gomes, the Cincinnati left fielder. He'll be followed by Jay Bruce and then Miguel Cairo here in the top of the second. Gomes, a nice story in the early going for Cincinnati. He's hitting for power, 6 home runs, stealing bases, drawing walks. Only hitting .222 on the season, but he can be a very productive .222 hitter with the power and the walks and all of that sort of thing. Really getting a chance to play more than he's ever gotten before in his career.
And he becomes a key ingredient with Scott Rowland out to get Joey Votto pitched to. We talked about the importance of Matt Holliday on the other side for Albert Pujols. But Gomes now becomes a key ingredient for Votto's success.
Do you buy, Bobby, as well, that when you got a Votto or a Pujols, does the guy behind him matter? Is there such a thing as protection?
No, I don't believe in that stuff. Votto had good pitches to hit the first time up.
Up and in, ball 4. So when you were managing, it didn't matter who was behind the alpha dog on the other team. You were going to pitch him the same way? Or?
You pitch him, but you might walk that hitter at times, as Tony La Russa did last night. With Votto hitting, Gomes was on deck. He walked him, even though he was the go-ahead run. He wound up scoring. Okay, but you'll get your pitches to hit. Pitchers don't walk people just because there's a lesser hitter behind him, I don't believe, unless it's a pitcher.
Close at first. Gomes trying to sneak up on some people this year. He's got 4 steals already, but the Cardinals have seen enough to know that, and he looked like he was stutter stepping or leaning just a bit, and throw almost got him. The batter Jay Bruce now, the right fielder. Cincinnati, an aggressive team, and a lot of teams just kind of shut down the running game at times, Oral, against Yadier Molina, but the Reds believe in aggressive base running under Dusty Baker.
They were the best base running team in the National League last year. They took extra bases greater 36% of the time. The average in the major leagues was only 30. And when we say an extra base, so that means on a single they took 2 bases. On a double they took 3, and they did that better than anybody.
Throw over. You got a shot in the dugout a minute or so ago of Joey Votto talking with Scott Rowland. Rowland was officially placed on the disabled list today. That's why Gomes is hitting cleanup. That's why Cairo is in there at third base. Problems again with the left shoulder. And the Reds are hoping it'll just be 15 days, but this is something that has necessitated a couple of surgeries in Rowland's career, and it's really been a problem off and on for several years. Half of them anyways. Sitting with Votto in the dugout, hoping it's just going to be really about 11 days because he hasn't played in a few days. 2-1. It's a big loss, obviously defensively as well. I mean, Scott Rowland still, after all these years, one of the great defensive third basemen in the game. And Miguel Cairo goes from being a utility guy to pretty much an everyday guy right now. Runner goes. Pitch low, throw down, got him.
So when I mentioned the catcher needs to replace his feet, here's a pitch that's low and in, and Molina, who's one of the best in the business, takes his right foot and replaces his left foot with it, so he's in perfect throwing position.
Gomes thrown out for the first time this season by a 3-time Gold Glover, Yadier Molina.
There's no rain right now, Dan, but Westbrook's pitching as though he's trying to get 5 innings in as quickly as possible. There's no time in between pitches.
Bad weather in the forecast. We'll hope for the best. There's a chopper out to second. Punto with a short throw, 2 down. Let's get an up-close, ultra slow-mo look at the play at second base and the throw from Yadier Molina that got Johnny Gomes in a slide at second base.
He's trying to get to the outside, never gets to the outside of the bag, but was running exactly in the right direction. Took a perfect throw, perfect tag to get him.
Now Cairo, a former Cardinal who had the big hit of yesterday's game against his old team. A 2-run single in the 8th inning off Ryan Franklin on an 0-2 pitch. It broke a 3-3 tie, gave the Reds a 5-3 lead. They would win the game by that score. The Cardinals won Friday night 4-2.
Miguel is one of Dusty's lieutenants on this team. He speaks the gospel of Dusty Baker, and it's appreciated.
You always like having a lieutenant or two in the clubhouse, do you?
Gotta have it. Gotta have someone spreading the word. Gospel of Dusty.
1986, Dusty Baker playing for the Oakland A's. Last year was an active major leaguer. His manager was Tony La Russa. As that pitch runs down and in, 2-2. They have opposed each other as managers since 1996. Did he go? Yes, he did. Cairo's gone and the inning is over. We'll go to the bottom of the second in St. Louis. Still no score. Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, live from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. No score between the Reds and Cardinals as we go to the bottom of the second inning. In a city where, I mean, there has been some great history, tradition, great players, but one man stands alone, and that is Stan Musial, one of the all-time legendary greats, not just in St. Louis history, in Major League Baseball history. You're talking about a guy 4th all-time in hits, 3,630. 3rd all-time in doubles, 6th all-time in RBIs. He won 3 MVPs, 7 batting titles, and played every single day that he spent in the major leagues as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Berkman spanks one up the middle. That's a base hit. Thoughts on Stan Musial?
Well, my thoughts are that my father-in-law, Ralph Branca, pitched against him for 7 years in the National League and said there was no one more feared than Stan Musial. He could hit the ball to all fields, hit the ball in the gaps, ran the bases well, would get 80 extra base hits again, and he was the gentleman that everyone loved.
Got a statue of Stan Musial just outside the ballpark. Stan the Man. It is Stan the Man bobblehead night tonight here at Busch Stadium. So A lot of people going home with a great memento. Oral, when you think of Stan Musial, what comes to mind?
That they gave 15,000 bobbleheads out tonight, and I really turn the page and think about Albert, that if Albert signs the contract and stays a Cardinal, he will have his own statue. They can retire his number right now, and that Stan the Man is the past Cardinal and the past all-timer here that's represented in this city, and Albert is the current.
Fouled off by Descalso. So a lot of lucky fans going home with their Stan Musial bobblehead here on this Sunday night. Didn't have enough. Couldn't make enough.
They ran out at every gate.
Yep. Well, that's you mentioned Albert Pujols and the contract situation. One of the big stories that was hanging over the Cardinals really leading into the season, leading into spring training, was would they get a deal done before Pujols reported to spring training? They did not. And Pujols said and was consistent with it. If we don't get it done by, I think it was February the 15th, we're shutting it down. We're not talking about it, and I'll become a free agent. And will the Cardinals make him enough of an offer to keep him here for his entire career so that another statue goes up outside this ballpark, right beside the one of Stan Musial? And right now, only the two sides know if there are any discussions going on, guys, and what the last offer was. How many years are they looking for? How much money are they looking for? These are the biggest contracts for other first basemen of the majors. Ryan Howard, Mark Teixeira, Adriana Gonzalez, Miguel Cabrera. What's notable is for three of them, the contract takes them up until they're 36 years of age. And also, with those guys signed, those are places Albert Pujols probably can't go if he were to become a free agent, because they've already got themselves a big ticket guy at first base. How do you guys see this playing out? Do you think Albert's a Cardinal in 2012?
No. I don't think they could afford to keep him. I think that Albert's going to be in a different uniform. It's going to be to the regret of every fan in this city, but I think it's very difficult to have him and Holiday and Carpenter and Wainwright on the same team here in the Midwest.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The count on Descalso. Foul to back. Let's check in with Buster Olney.
But it was not as much per year as the top 3 guys on the list that you just showed, Ryan Howard or Mark Teixeira or Adrian Gonzalez. That's what Pujols' side is looking for. An average annual value of his deal larger than those 3.
So larger than those 3. And again, how many years would it be? 5, 6, 7? I mean, initially there was some report that he wanted a 10-year deal, but Albert has said that basically nobody knows what they're talking about. Is it strike 3 called on Descalso for the first out of the inning? Oral, what do you think? Is Pujols a Cardinal next year?
I hope so. I think this city deserves him. I hope that they can come to maybe even a little hometown discount. But the places he could end up, if he's not a Cardinal, could be really controversial. He could end up a Cub. He could end up a Dodger. He could end up an Angel.
How painful would it be for St. Louis fans to see Albert Pujols playing at Wrigley Field? Here are the commitments for the Cardinals for next year. They've got options on a couple of guys, so that could reduce their future commitments. The Cardinals this year spending about $107 million. So if you've got Holiday at 17, and if Pujols is, say, close to 30, can you, as you referenced, Bobby, can you have 2 guys making $47 million, over 40% of your team payroll?
Well, the ownership here is very savvy. You know, Bill DeWitt Jr., whose family has been in baseball for many years, his granddad owning the Cincinnati Reds back in the 60s, understands the economics of the game, understands the fandom of the game, and will do the right thing for baseball and for St. Louis.
Batter is Yadier Molina. He'll take it low. John Mozeliak, the general manager of the Cardinals. This is one of the big jobs, obviously the biggest job for him over the next 12 months is can they retain Albert Pujols. For now, everybody seems to be just focusing on baseball this year and leaving the contract for another day. Unless things are going on behind the scenes very quietly that nobody knows about. Pujols went to high school in Missouri after coming from the Dominican Republic. There's a base hit through the left side for Molina. So first and second with 1 out. Pujols also spent a year at community college in Missouri. So he's got a lot of roots in this area. and has put up extraordinary, almost unparalleled numbers over the first 10 years of his major league career. That's a pretty exclusive group right there. 300 batting average, 30 homers, and 100 RBIs, and Albert Pujols has done it in all 10 seasons. Nobody, not even the great Garrigan Ruth, have ever done it in as many consecutive seasons. And another thing that's different about Pujols, guys, this is from his rookie season on. He was great from the moment he got to the majors, was a 13th round pick, and just nobody saw this coming. He just exploded onto the scene and has been the game's best player over the last 10 years.
He's a model citizen in the community. He's a great teammate, and he's the finest right-handed hitter in the game of baseball.
Here's Nick Punto starting at second base tonight. First and second, one out, no score. Bottom of the second. Cairo way in at third. Ball one to Punto. Skip Schumacher is out with an injury, so Punto getting some more playing time. He's just coming back from an injury, a sports hernia. Surgery in February, just activated on Tuesday. Just low. Volquez, who has been struggling in the first inning terribly all season long, didn't have much trouble there. Gave up a base hit but got out of it. Now he's given up 2 hits with only 1 out here in the second.
Did he let his guard down, thinking he really accomplished something getting through that first inning? Come out with something less in the second?
There for a strike, 2-1.
This is where the 8-hole hitter sometimes needs to open up his strike zone with the pitcher on deck, first and second, 1 out. When you're pitching in this situation, I didn't always worry about my infielders getting me a double play ball. I just wanted an out to make sure I could face that pitcher and not give up a single and give up the run now with the pitcher coming up.
And the infielders are playing a little deeper than they normally would, Earl. It's a great call there that they're going to play deep, especially on the right side, to make sure they get one, keep that ball from getting to the outfield and getting out of this inning with a 0.
Chopped up the first baseline, but foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes now on Punto.
Tony La Russa used to bat his pitcher in the 8th hole.
And I loved it every time he did when I played against him. Because it seemed like he always came up in this situation.
And his reasoning was to bat Albert third. He wanted to get an extra batter in front of him for the rest of the game.
I think he shelved that idea.
Has been shelved at least for today.
Experiment foiled.
Two on with a 1 out. And the 2-2 pitch to Punto, very high, a full count. Coverage of Major League action continues this week here on ESPN. Tomorrow at 7 Eastern to Monday Night Baseball. The White Sox are in New York to take on the Yankees at 7 Eastern. Then on a Wednesday night, also at 7 Eastern, Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Sears Lawn and Garden, and American League West Division matchup between the A's and the Angels. Major League Baseball tomorrow and a Wednesday here on ESPN.
I don't think they're running here. 3-2, 1 out. Left-handed hitter up.
They are not, and the pitch is hit high in the air to shallow right center field. Stubbs will make the catch for the second out. So that'll leave it up to the pitcher, Jake Westbrook. As Volquez picks up that big second out, Westbrook comes up here 2 for 9 on the season, including a double and an RBI.
And the reason they wouldn't run there is because they don't want to strike out, throw out, and have the pitcher lead off the next inning. They're going to give Punto a chance to drive the guy in with a base hit, hit a fly ball, strike out, whatever it might be, but at least turn the lineup over this inning if you don't get any runs out of it.
Tony La Russa still dealing with the after effects of a viral infection that has caused some real inflammation on the right side of his face. Much better than it was a few days ago, but still a ways to go.
Boy, if it was worse a couple days ago, I'm glad I didn't see him because he looked so bad today. I felt so sorry for him. He's suffering. He's managing this team. He's giving everything he has, but he's really in pain.
Hope he doesn't get any scarring from the scabbing that's happened. He did look in pain and uncomfortable today.
Swing and a miss, 1-1 on Westbrook. Both of these teams are 11-10 in the National League Central, a division that looks like it could be very competitive, maybe as many as 4 teams competing for the division title. So you get a nice aerial shot on this overcast night here in St. Louis. Milwaukee won today 4-1. They beat Houston, so they're 11-10. The Cubs lost today to the Dodgers 7-3, so the Cubs are 10-11. Could be that kind of a year in the NL Central. Backhanded it short by Giannis. Long throw. Dug out at first by Votto. And the inning is over. A couple of men left on. Scoreless at the end of 2. The Baseball Tonight gang with some Sunday updates for you when we come back.
I'm Carl Ravitch, John Kruk, and Barry Larkin alongside. Cardinals and Reds 0-0 are about to start the top of the third. Offensive heroes on Sunday. David Wright, 2 home runs. The Mets sweep the Diamondbacks.
David Wright made a couple of adjustments and now is able to drive the ball. It's nice to see him hitting the ball with power to left field.
Mets back in this race.
They're in the race. They're still in last place, but feel like they're more engaged in this race. There were some other guys on Sunday who delivered. Mike Aviles for the Royals, 3 for 5, but Bruce Chen suffers a loss. Ben Zobrist, the Rays are all the way back to 500, and Adrian Beltre, 2 for 2 with a home run and RBI and a couple of runs. The offensive heroes on Sunday. The Rangers continue to play along. They have no closer now that Neftali Feliz is on the DL, and they're without Josh Hamilton. Are they going to be able to continue winning?
It's going to be tough, Carl. You know, we've seen it all along. When teams don't have a dominant closer, it sets the whole bullpen in a mix-up mode. They don't know when they're pitching, who they're pitching to, or how they're going to pitch. So it's going to be a tough job for Ron Washington to get them straight.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine, to be quite honest. I think they have enough offense. Josh Hamilton will be back at some particular point. I think they'll score enough to stay competitive.
And Dan, the Phillies now without Lidge, and of course Jose Contreras goes on the DL as well.
So, Carl and guys, thank you. So today for Philadelphia, Antonio Bastardo got the save, and today for Texas, Arthur Rhodes got the save in an 8-7 win over the Kansas City Royals. Back here in St. Louis, no score, top of the third, and a strike to Ryan Hanigan from Jake Westbrook to get the inning going for the Reds.
Dan, when you talk about bullpen problems, St. Louis has them.
Yes, definitely a topic we will explore over the course of the evening, if and when, presumably when the Cardinals go to their bullpen. Ryan Franklin is no longer the closer right now for St. Louis. Mitchell Boggs has gotten a couple of saves for the Cardinals, but Tony La Russa doesn't want to call him a closer, doesn't want any extra pressure on him. I only got about a third of the way into my question. Tony, should we call it? No. And he knew right away what I was asking. Ground ball to short, 1 down.
Should we call him?
No. Okay, next. Well, here's some of the big picture stories going on around baseball over the last week as well. Of course, Major League Baseball has now in effect taken over the Los Angeles Dodgers because of the huge debt that the Dodgers have right now. The Milwaukee Brewers signing Ryan Braun to a 5-year extension that will take him through 2020. And Bud Selig, the commissioner, announcing that he thinks it's likely that next season there will be expanded playoffs in the majors, one more wild card team in each league, format still to be determined. Giannis is the batter. Bobby, which of those three really jumps out at you?
Well, the expanded playoff, I think, is something the fans want. It's very good for the game. More games at the end of the season. Just give the team that wins the league some advantage. Let them play all the home games in the first round.
Giannis with a liner to center field. To back is Rasmus to make the catch. 2 down. You're saying the higher ranking team should get every game at home in a playoff series?
Absolutely. With no off days for travel, you have a 5-game series. Give them all the home games. Let their fans get the benefit of them winning the division and get a reward for winning the division.
Yeah, it's a disadvantage to sit around and wait for the wild card team that you have to play, but what a nice advantage it would be to play at home the whole time. So you want to balance those books, especially when the team could win 96 games and the team they're playing maybe only wins 86. Give them something for the 10 games they beat people by.
So theoretically, the 2 wild card teams would meet in the first round, whether it's 1, 3, 5 games, who knows, and then the winner of that would advance on to what is now the first round of the playoffs against one of the division winners.
And if you don't give them all the home games, let them start the series, a 5-game series, with one game advantage.
Wow. Swing and a miss by Volquez, 1-2.
What about 2-1-2?
That's all right, but you still travel it around and play in a couple. You have to have an advantage. Give them a win.
Volquez chases and is gone. Jake Westbrook on top of his game through 3 innings. Albert Pujols due up third for the Cardinals when we come back to Busch Stadium. St. Louis along with Oral Hershiser, Bobby Valentine. I'm Dan Schulman. This is Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. From St. Louis, no score. Reds and Cardinals wrapping up a 3-game series. Top of the order, Ryan Theriot, Colby Rasmus, and then Albert Pujols. A good sharp breaking ball in for a strike from Edinson Volquez. Theriot grounding out his first time up. Cardinals have had 3 hits with 3 men left on through the first 2 innings. The Reds don't have a hit yet. There's another good breaking ball, 0-2.
Theriot, good offensive player, in there because Tony likes his true grit. Gives his best every second of the game.
You know, Edinson Volquez is through the toughest part of the game for him so far this year. First time through the order, they hit .565 off him this year in his first 4 starts. The rest of the time, 125. So he is over the hump. You talk about a pitcher that you want to get early before he gets his rhythm, before he gets his confidence. This is the young man right here. But now the Cardinals have a lot in store for him because he has been very good from this point in the game on.
There's a base hit. Just over the outstretched glove of Votto to right field. Theriot's aboard to begin the 3rd. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Firestone, the official tire of Major League Baseball. Leadoff man aboard for the Cardinals here in the 3rd inning. Here come the really dangerous hitters now. Colby Rasmus is up. Albert Pujols is on deck. Then Matt Holliday. Then Lance Berkman if it gets that far. Rasmus struck out his first time up. Still hitting .345. Cardinals began this season with the news that Adam Wainwright was going to miss the year after elbow surgery. Then Matt Holliday had the appendectomy. Ryan Franklin lost his closer's job. But with guys like Rasmus and David Freese, Kyle McClellan, all these so-called support players stepping up and having big seasons, the Cardinals are doing all right. Time is called really late right there. And now heading to the mound is Hannigan, the catcher.
That was a situation where Volquez was paying no attention to the runner at all. Theriot almost took off because he never saw him take his lead. He held the ball. He had to stop as he started to break. Hannigan saw that and said, hey, we got to pay a little more attention over here. We have an athlete on first base.
Volquez has been around 1.5 to the plate. That high leg kick does not give Hannigan much time when there's a base runner out there. Remember, Albert Pujols, not the fastest player in the world, has already stolen a bag tonight.
Cairo in on the grass at 3rd for the Reds. Way off the line as well. Swing and a miss.
There was an abbreviated leg kick by Volquez, paying a little bit more attention to the runner. When I say 1.5, that's 1.5 seconds from the time the pitcher moves until the time the catcher receives the ball. On that last pitch, it was 1.2, so he sped it up. Major League average to kind of shut the running game down is around 1.3.
Theriot with a couple of stolen bases so far this season, draws a throw.
So much has happened to him early in the season here with his ERA the way it is and his early time struggle that he's concentrating so much on getting the hitters out that he can forget about the running game. As you get into your rhythm and you get into your confidence, then you start to think about 2 different things at once. And in your mind's eye, you're throwing a strike, but in your mind, you're thinking about the runner.
Swing and a miss, 1-2. Theriot bluffed a start to second, took a couple of quick steps, put the brakes on. And now Volquez is out in front of Rasmus.
He glanced in at the catcher and saw him sitting way outside, thinking there was a fastball away, maybe an abbreviated pitch out or a pitch out, so he shut the running game down. He's a little upset that he did that, talking with Dave McKay down there at first base.
Hannigan sneaking a peek down to first base to see what's going on down there.
It's a throw to first, and it's really interesting the way Votto and Pujols hold the runner on base. They position themselves so that they can get off the base and clog up that hole and win a Gold Glove. They do not position themselves to tag the runner out diving back into the base. They have an abbreviated position at first.
Votto standing about a foot or a foot and a half in front of first base. Where would you like to see his feet?
Exactly. I think his right foot should be parallel with the base, right on the front corner of the base. So as he catches that throw, he could reach back and try to tag that runner. He's just catching it like he's playing catch now because his right foot is in a position that he can't swipe back and tag the runner diving back.
And Volquez gets Rasmus for the second time tonight.
Yeah.
Now Pujols. With a base hit his first time up, that makes him 4 for 8 with a couple of home runs in his career against Edinson and Volquez. Checking again with live K-Zone.
Albert got a hit to right field on a fastball up his last at bat.
Does the pitcher have a say, Orel, in telling the catcher where to set up? When you want an outside pitch, here's how far I want you to slide outside, where I want the target?
Definitely communication before the start, and then in-game adjustments as you see where your release point is and where it's easy for you to hit a target on one side of the plate or the other. You may have him on the plate on one side and off the plate on the other.
And he could also decide what pitch he wants. He shook the first fastball off.
Weakly hit up the first baseline, but it's foul before Votto gets to it. So he shook off the fastball in and eventually got to the fastball away, right?
Yeah, he threw that pitch away. He wanted, I think it was a slider away, Dan. He wanted to establish something away and get Albert reaching before he comes back inside. No, it was a fastball away that came back a little. You had the pitch. And what I really like there is Joey Votto charged that ball so hard. He wanted to get the ball in fair territory before it went foul. He was sprinting for that ball, and it just barely went foul.
Interesting, when Dusty told us before the game that Joey Votto's gotten some help playing first base from Albert Pujols, that they talk when the teams get together around the cage, and Pujols has unsolicited gone up to Votto and given him some defensive tips. Votto giving chase over near the seats, and it's back out of play.
One of those tips was exactly what we referred to earlier, Dan, is how Joey holds the runner on so that he can get off first base and clog up that hole. Here they are both with the same type of style where they're turned a little toward the hitter rather than being 45 degrees to Orel and having the right foot on the bag. They're protecting the hole rather than waiting for the throw from the pitcher to tag the runner out.
No score in the bottom of the third here at Busch Stadium. So far so good with the weather. The rain is held off. And again time is called.
The pitch selection on the last pitch was fastball away, but Edinson missed by a mile and ran up and in. So it's reality you pitch from as far as what pitch to call here. It's not what I wanted to throw, but where did the ball end up and what did Albert do with it? And he fouled it off late. Looks like they're going to go away again.
2-2.
It really looks like they do not want to give him something soft to pull. They are staying hard away and saying if you're going to do damage, you're going to have to do it to the opposite field. They might come in, but they're going to come in off the plate. And if they go soft, it's probably going to be something soft that they bounce, something that'll be very hard for Albert to elevate.
Going away again. Missing low that time. 3-2.
And I really think that Hannigan wanted that fastball in off the plate there to throw that pitch on 3-2. Now he's narrowed down to a fastball. He's looking out there saying, what do we want to do? getting ourselves into this predicament, Ollie. And now what are we going to do?
Well, he hasn't thrown him back-to-back off-speed pitches because he's been fastball hard away and hard in on a mistake that was supposed to be away. I think you go back-to-back changeups right here. You throw this one right down the middle but slow and hope Albert gets himself out.
Terrio the lead at first. He's running. And the pitch swung on and missed. The throw down on a bounce and safe at second is Terrio as Pujols strikes out.
You have to use everything in your repertoire to get the greatest hitters out. And they have shown Albert that they're going to try and get him out with fastballs the whole time until they're backed into a corner, and now they trick him. They go fastball away. They try fastball away. Albert swings at it. They go fastball away, but he makes a mistake in. They go back hard away. 4 pitches hard. Now finally to a changeup. Now you get to 3-2, and you throw back-to-back off-speed pitches for the first time. Get Albert out in front. It's still a really good swing, but the timing is off.
You don't see Albert Pujols fooled like that very often, coming up with a swing like that very often. But the back-to-back changeups got him. Terrio steals the base. He's at second, 2 down for Matt Holliday.
And oh, did he steal the base, Dan? He had a 3-foot stride before the pitch was delivered. If Edison only stepped off the mound, he would have had him out and not have to worry about this big guy hitting with man on second and 2 outs.
Holliday struck out his first time up. Volquez has 5 strikeouts through 2 2/3. In a scoreless game in the bottom of the 3rd here at Busch Stadium. And a breaking ball bounced foul up the third base line, 0-2. The rotation is so key for the Cincinnati Reds. They've got Johnny Cueto and Homer Bailey on the DL right now. Both getting closer to coming back. They hope to have both of them back from arm trouble within a couple of weeks. Of course, they've got Bronson Arroyo. Mike Leake, who has been in the news for the wrong reasons in the last little while after the shoplifting charge a few days back.
They're not going to have T-shirt day in Cincinnati anytime soon, are they?
Oh, boy.
Hannigan to the mound again. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Firestone, the official tire of Major League Baseball. Volquez and Hannigan have had several meetings on the mound in this inning alone. Trying to get on the same page here. Key situation, runner at second, 2 down, and the always dangerous Matt Holliday at the plate. Hannigan behind the plate, part of a very good defensive Cincinnati Reds team. You talked about the shortcomings of the Cardinals, but the Reds are loaded with plus defenders.
Very good defensively, and in a mix and match situation, they get very good offense out of their catching situation.
Jay Bruce, a plus right fielder. Brandon Phillips has won the Gold Glove. Of course, when healthy, Scott Rowland, one of the best at third. Giannis, terrific at short. Not a household name, while Giannis getting a chance to play more this year than ever before, and hitting well as well, but they've really got him in there, Oral, for his glove.
Yeah, he has been outstanding. When you solidify that defense there, that is the key ingredient, and you can make up a lot of ground now. I think since performance-enhancing drugs have left the game, that the defense has been a key, and that shortstop position has become more of a defender than an offensive player.
2-2. There's a play for Giannis. Inning over. Another hit, but another man left on. The Cardinals have stranded 4 through 3 innings. No score going to the 4th. Joey Votto due up third for the Reds. Almost smell it.
I'll just have a half.
3 were for me.
Oh,
yeah.
I think John Kruk's on a break right now. They're
go get him, Krucky.
cooking for him.
That might be his order.
Top of the 4th, no score here at Busch Stadium. John Kruk, Barry Larkin, and Carl Ravitch, the Baseball Tonight gang, here as always with us on Sunday night. They'll be back around before the top of the 6th inning for another look around at some of the highlights from Sunday. Breaking ball, 1-2 on Stubbs. The first pitch strike that Westbrook threw to Stubbs was the 8th first pitch strike in the 10 hitters that he has faced tonight. He bears no resemblance to the struggling Westbrook that we had been hearing about coming into the start tonight, the guy who brought an ERA of 9.82 into this game.
He's been able to throw more than one pitch for a strike, and that had been the key. He had been not pitching to contact. He had been taking his secondary stuff completely off the edges of the plate and then having to give back into the hitter. So it was either walks or hits before tonight. This ball, I think his sinker always has had the most depth when it's right down the middle of the plate. It has a tendency to go almost straight down. When he throws the ball for the corner, it gets flat. You see that ball has a lot of the plate, but the depth of the sink is what gets him out. The ball gets off the barrel of the bat. You can avoid the barrel of the bat by making it go down the middle and then making it go wide to jam the hitter, or make it go wide to get off the end of the barrel of the bat, or you can give the ball depth and get away from it up and down.
Brandon Phillips greeted in the usual manner here in St. Louis. Doesn't seem to bother him at all. He's almost playful about it, giving Cardinal fans almost a, come on guys, is that the best you got? Tuesday night, ESPN's Year of the Quarterback continues with the second part of 3 for the Show, a 3-part miniseries. Be there as cameras follow Cam Newton, Jake Locker, and Tyrod Taylor from the final game of their collegiate careers all the way to draft night in New York. Year of the Quarterback presents 3 for the Show, Part 2, Tuesday at 8 on ESPN. Phillips with a deep drive, left field, got a chance, off the wall on the fly. Digging hard for second, throw on a bounce, not in time. And that'll give him even more reason to start booing Phillips, who's had some big hits in this series, including a home run on Friday night.
This is a line drive that was well played by Holiday. Got it on one hop and made a good throw to second. He waxed this ball right in the middle of the K zone. He goes hard out of the box. Punto takes this throw on one knee. His one hop throw from Matt Holiday. And here comes the slide, just in on a straight leg slide. He's safe. And beautiful camera work by our men in the truck and on the field.
Never shy to express his emotion on the field. That's the first hit of the game for the Reds. Now runners in scoring position with one out. Phillips all smiles as Joey Votto steps in. Votto grounding out his first time up. Why did he win the MVP? Second in the league in batting last year, third in home runs, third in RBIs, first in both on-base percentage and slugging percentage. And you just watched Baseball Tonight. How many times did we see Votto get the hit that won the game in the bottom of the 8th or bottom of the 9th? As he led the Cincinnati Reds to the postseason, the first time the Reds had been in the postseason since 1995, when Barry Larkin was a Red.
That's right, Dan. He was first in batting average after the 7th inning. He did lead his team to the pennant, and I think he's going to be able to do that again before his career is over, maybe multiple times.
This is a very intense, focused 27-year-old, in spite of that little smile that you're getting there. You don't see that very often in the field from Votto. And you love the way, Bobby, he hits the ball to left center and straightaway center field as a left-handed batter, right?
Yes, when he gets a ball up, many left-handed hitters, especially those who throw with their right hand, are low ball hitters. But he hits the ball that's up and out over the plate, and he hits it really high and really far to the opposite field and center.
Going away from him here, missing down and away. 2 balls and a strike.
You know, Bob, we talked about earlier about having protection. I think with Gomes on deck, having 222 as a right-handed hitter, that Joey is not protected here. And with first base open, he is going to get less things to hit compared to if Scott Rowland was on deck.
Well, I'm not sure if Scott Rowland gives him protection with that first base open.
No, I'm just telling you, as a starting pitcher or any kind of pitcher, mentally, when I look in there, it's about I'm going to make a quality pitch compared to I'm going to give in.
And this is first base open. I mean, this is just about an intentional walk here, no matter who's on base, because this is the MVP at the plate.
Exactly.
And there's ball 4. Dusty Baker, who of course managed in San Francisco, compares the treatment Votto's getting this year to what Barry Bonds got back in his heyday. Maybe it's not quite at that level yet, but certainly Votto is getting a whole new level of respect this year.
Whole new level, and as you mentioned, last night he was walked as the go-ahead run in the 8th inning. It backfired. He wound up scoring the winning run in the 8th inning, as it turned out. But I think Tony would do it again if he had to. And again, regardless of who's behind him, a future Hall of Famer Jeff Kent was behind Barry Bonds when he was being walked 160 times. So, and Albert Pujols' average.
Johnny Gomes, the batter, first pitch swinging, and he skies one into shallow left center. Rasmus the catch for the second out.
And I know you were going to say that Albert's statistics were the same with Matt Holliday behind him or not behind him, but the mentality of the pitch and the pitch selection and what the pitcher is trying to do, I think, is different depending on who's on deck.
At times.
But both of you guys are right? I mean, you're looking at it from the manager's point of view, and you're looking at it from the pitcher's point of view.
I looked at it as risk reward, and I think that's the way Jake Westbrook looked at it. The risk of giving in to Votto and pitching to Gomes is a little different than letting Votto stand over there at first base. Now, one ground ball gets me out of the inning, and I know it's different with a man on second and first base open, completely different than other times.
And what I'm saying, I'm agreeing with you totally. I'm just saying that, I'm not saying that Rowland doesn't give that protection. Hardly anyone gives that protection. Now, Dusty before the game said maybe Bruce would do it because they have only one left-hander in the bullpen.
Right.
And that would give him this opportunity early in the game to have him get a good pitch to hit.
But you don't think, as an example, Bobby, a red-hot Robinson Cano hitting 5th behind Alex Rodriguez, that doesn't change the way you pitch Alex Rodriguez?
It changes it a little, but you're still going to try to get Alex Rodriguez out, regardless of who's behind him, unless that situation presents itself and first base is open or the game is absolutely on the line, and then you pick your poison. Mm-hmm. If it's Cano and Alex, they're both great.
2-1 on Bruce.
Dan, I'd keep arguing with him, but there's 2 outs.
Well,
so I'm just going to let it go.
I agree with you.
I'm just going to let it go.
Let's let it go. Thank you very much.
I know we got some people at home stirred up on it. They're talking about it.
2 on, 2 out, no score. 4th inning. 2-1 pitch. And a hanging breaking ball lifted to left field. It was playable for Holliday. Westbrook gets out of it. To the bottom of the 4th, we'll hear from Dusty Baker when we come back to St. Louis. Presented by Edward Jones, Buster Olney with Dusty Baker between innings.
Dusty, Edinson Volquez came into this game with a 29-25 ERA in the first inning. How big was it to get through the first inning today, scoreless?
Well, it was huge. I mean, not only for us, but it's big for him too. You know, because once you get past that first inning, you know, he's been great all year long. So, I mean, it was huge. He was throwing strikes, he was mixing his changeup in, and showing great control early. Today,
you guys put Scott Rowland on the disabled list. How serious is his injury? How long do you expect him to be out?
Well, you know, we're hoping that he's out only the 15 days. He's already served like 3 or 4 of those days. And, you know, we can put him on the retroactive, you know, disabled list, and we're hoping, you know, he's back on, you know, within that time. You know, the severity of it, we really don't know, but I mean, he's working hard, and I know Scotty, he'll do everything he can to get back.
Dusty, thanks. Dan, back to you.
All right.
Thank you, Dusty. Thank you, Buster. Scoreless game, bottom of the 4th. Lance Berkman leading it off for the Cardinals. The count is 1-1. Berkman had a base hit to center field his first time up. Last week was the National League Player of the Week. Hit 6 home runs last week. Drove in 13 runs. Has gotten in great shape. He's doing pretty well in the outfield. And Tony La Russa says what they certainly knew in Houston. He is great in the clubhouse. I mean, people love this guy, and he's become an immediate leader on this team. Dangerous switch hitter as he chops it foul up the first baseline.
I have an outgoing, boisterous type leader. Those stats right there, Dan, they'll make you a leader too.
Through 18 games, it would seem his best start. Some of the best numbers he's put up early in the season. They say he's got a way of kind of getting on a teammate, but with a sense of humor, so it doesn't make them feel badly about themselves, but he gets his message across, and the players are really drawn to him. And he played against them for so many years as a member of the Astros. Backhanded by Votto, he'll win the race for out number 1.
I played with Tim Wallach and Robin Ventura, Kirk Gibson, Mike Scioscia. They all had that kind of mentality where they could kind of get in your face, but they also had a great sense of humor to kind of build you back up. They knew how to communicate to the whole team before the game started kind of what our goal was, or you know, maybe some little intricate things about the running game or defense that night that need to be said in the locker room, but in a humorous way.
How important is it to have a guy or some guys like that if you're going to be a championship team?
Extremely important. They need to be with the young guys and the old guys on the bench and in the clubhouse.
Here's Descalso, the third baseman, who swings over the top of the changeup as Volquez continues to pile up swings and misses. That is his 14th swing and miss already tonight, and he's used the changeup for a good number of them. Now Descalso looking his first time up.
Earl, you know, I see Volquez take that step back in his windup, and Dusty alluded to the fact before the game that he called a future Dominican Hall of Famer, asked him some advice about warming up. I got to think it's Pedro
for
that
sure.
he calls.
And you're looking at also a fastball that moves in the mid-90s, and then a changeup as the 2 top pitches, and then a show me curveball every once in a while. And a smile like that, like Pedro was so relaxed on the mound and easygoing, having fun.
You got to think that phone call goes to Pedro Martinez.
I had Edison when I was a Texas Rangers pitching coach, and he was a young pup coming up, and I can tell you that's a for sure.
Changeup, swing and a miss, strikeout number 6.
I'll tell you what, when you get ahead of hitters and can put them away, and hitters are now 5 for 51 when they get the 2 strikes against Edinson Volquez, and it's fastball and his changeup. Here's the changeup, you get ahead in 2 strikes, and then the fastball, you hit the glove, you don't know what's coming. Another fastball, and then a changeup to Albert. Remember, a 2-2 and a 3-2, and there's the last changeup we just saw. I'll tell you what, get him early or you might not get him.
Yadier Molina, good breaking ball for a strike. The numbers supporting what Earl just said. Volquez with 6 strikeouts through 3 2/3. It evolved in one of the more interesting trades in recent years, traded for Josh Hamilton after the 2007 season. And if Cincinnati is going to accomplish what they hope to accomplish, Volquez has to have a big season. Coming back from Tommy John surgery. There's a chopper up the third baseline. Volquez had Tommy John in August of 2009, so hoping to have a healthy season after missing most of last year. With some terrific young arms. We mentioned the other two guys on the DL, Homer Bailey and Johnny Cueto. 3 really good arms if the Reds can keep all of them healthy this year. The 0-2. And Molina gets a piece.
Interestingly enough, Orel's a really smart guy, Dan, and he was with Edison in Texas. And for the 3 years that they were together and he was in Texas, Zach Manassian, the veteran clubhouse guy, tells me they spelt his name without the N.
Edison, right. It is Edinson.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
This is news?
Yeah.
Come on, Bulldog.
He wasn't that good yet.
Wow, look at the movement on that running fastball. It into the hands of Molina. Strikeout number 7 to end the inning. A visit with Tony La Russa when we come back. For FaceTime presented by Edward Jones, Wendy Nick spoke with Cardinal manager Tony La Russa between innings.
Tony, Jake Westbrook has had a difficult April, but tonight an entirely different story. What is working for Westbrook tonight?
Well, Jake's a legitimate pitcher. He's got legitimate pitches. It just today looks like he's just settling down a little bit. You know, before they've just been a little aggressive, trying to force things. Just seems like he's more comfortable, but he's quality.
You told us earlier today that Lance Berkman came as advertised. What exactly does that mean?
The whole thing. I mean, we all know his stats as far as a productive offensive player, but just a great teammate, winning player, terrific with veterans, good with young guys. I mean, he's just a total guy.
Tony, thank you. Dan?
Hi, Wendy, thank you. Miguel Cairo leading off the inning, and he spanks one through the left side for a base hit. Second hit tonight for the Reds off Jake Westbrook, the leadoff man aboard for the Reds in a scoreless game here in the top of the 5th inning. Cairo filling in for Scott Rowland, as we mentioned, on the DL as of today. Also Juan Francisco, who was going to be the backup third baseman, the guy who was going to spell Rowland day games after night games and that sort of thing. He's on the DL. So Cairo, the super utility infielder, is now the everyday third baseman. Ryan Hannigan steps in. The Reds called up Chris Volquez, an infielder, to take the place of Roland today. Kind of interesting. Volquez popped his head into Dusty Baker's office while we were in with Dusty Baker talking before the game. It was just interesting to see the interaction. And
everything's all right. His wife stayed in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Hannigan a ground ball his first time up. Splitting catcher's duties with Ramon Hernandez for the Cincinnati Reds.
In the first pitch there, you saw Westbrook hold the ball a long time. He's going to hold and step off. They wanted to see if the runner gave anything away because in this situation you might see the hit and run employed, and the reason for that is to possibly get an inning going, but also to get the pitcher through this inning so he could get to the top of the order next inning, staying away from the double play. Everyone thinks something's on. They might have thrown over, taken something off, or taken it off and put it back on. Tony loves to pitch out, but he's not afraid to do it when his pitcher's behind in the count.
Hannigan handles the bat well as far as contact. Only 2 strikeouts and 38 at bats.
As we've got a weather update, as we told you off the top of the show, and the guys told you during baseball tonight, there was a 90% chance of rain, perhaps severe weather tonight. So far, nothing, but stadium operations is telling our folks down to the truck that light rain is probably going to begin in about 20 minutes, and the real heavy stuff's coming in about an hour. So it looks like they have only dodged a bullet temporarily here in St. Louis, an area that has just been ravaged by bad weather over the last couple of days. It's supposed to rain hard all through tomorrow. I'm sure just about everybody across the country has seen the video of the tornadoes and the damage that was done in the St. Louis area on Friday night, including the closing of the airport and basically the destruction of an entire city block several miles west of here. A number of people lost their homes. Miraculously, there were no fatalities. Some minor injuries were reported. And now there are flash flood warnings being associated with the heavy rain that's supposed to come in later tonight and tomorrow.
The Cardinals announced today that they were going to donate $30,000 to the tornado relief fund, and they stepped up right away.
Yep.
There'll be much more coming. It was devastated. I drove through that area on the way up here, Earl. It was absolute devastation.
Well, 2-1. Nobody out. Cairo, you think he's running? Hit and run here? Yep.
Yep. So does Tony. So does the pitcher. Sinker down and in works. Pitch away, could be first and third, at least advance the runner.
Not going. And it's 3-1.
Wow. Dusty playing big boy offense. Even with the bottom of the order, he wants to get more than one this inning. Stay away from the double play, Dusty. Stay away from the double play.
Now what? 3-2. Got to send him now? Or if you don't send him 2-1, you may not send him 3-2.
No, I think you send them now. This is, as Earl said, a contact hitter, contact pitcher. The ball's sinking. It's going to be on the ground.
I thought it was a great take by Hannigan, just to get to 3-2. Either the walk or get to a count where we're going to start the runner.
Not going. And it looks like a double play.
You know, that might have even been in the right field, depending on who's covering.
Yeah.
You know the ground ball's coming. You know there's contact. Guess maybe he wants the pitcher to lead off next inning. Dusty always has a plan.
Well, that was real interesting because Hannigan handles the bat well. And you get the ground ball from a pitcher that gets the most ground balls in the big leagues over the last couple years. So it was very conservative on Dusty's part to not start the runner, but maybe he did, and the runner balked. He just flinched on him and didn't go.
Dusty with a bit of a pained expression on his face right now after that double play ball. They haven't had many opportunities against Westbrook tonight. Giannis, the batter. No runs, 2 hits for the Reds. No runs on 4 hits for the Cardinals.
Speaking to Chris Spire before the game, the Cincinnati outstanding infield instructor and ex-San Francisco Giant infielder, he says that Giannis has great hands, great ability to play the infield.
Just missed.
Here's Chris. Talk about an arm. He would throw the ball over to first base every time as hard as he could, and he'd light up the gun. We're talking about you, Chris.
Doesn't seem to want that right now, does he?
Son played in the big leagues.
Westbrook, inning over. To the bottom of the 5th in St. Louis, still a scoreless game. Presented by Taco Bell. Beautiful Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Dan Schulman, Bobby Valentine, Oral Hershiser. Oral, if you went and visited the How Fast Is Your Fastball booth right now, you get to take your you get to take your jacket off.
Yeah.
Right now, honestly.
74.
That's pretty
maybe.
good. How old are you now?
52. Maybe break 70.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing though. I have no idea.
With sink still, right? I mean, it's still moving.
Well,
right?
It would sink because it would start to sink before it got to that tarp.
Because of gravity.
Lack of velocity.
Yeah.
74. That's not
I
bad.
don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, get going.
I topped out at 94, and maybe I'll lose a mile a year. I'm 52.
He'd find a way to get you out. Dan,
Yeah,
he'd
find
a way.
Well, it'd be easy to find a way to get Dan out.
No, he'd mix it up.
this.
You know, he'd
I don't
knock
know.
you down. He'd
I might
throw
have
it
to-
down.
He'd bulldog it out.
I'd figure something
You'd
out.
figure something out.
Yeah. I wouldn't scratch it or make it slick.
Have you ever cut it loose in the last few years for any reason with your son or anything like that? Or?
Play catch with my son Jordan, who's
Yeah.
a senior at USC, pitcher coming back from shoulder surgery. But yeah, he's doing. It's fun to play catch. But I tell you what, what's in your mind and should happen doesn't happen anymore.
The mind is willing.
Yeah, the body is weak.
Punto with a ground ball to first. Votto unassisted, 1 down.
The lower half of your body is so important. Mr. Volquez kind of tweaked something in his knee here a couple pitches ago. Firm up the front side just like a hitter, but that thing actually looked like it hyperextended his right knee.
The 5th inning, a chance of winning a game. I don't think he's coming out, even if he did tweak a little something.
Pitcher against pitcher. Here's Westbrook. Westbrook grounded out his first time up.
Johnny Hertzbach behind the plate, calling him as he sees him and hears him.
And hears him?
John's a great guy. His brother Mark is no longer umpiring, and hip surgery.
(2-0) to the pitcher.
Well, that left leg that he might have hyperextended a little bit. It's kind of gets in your mind when you go down to land on that front leg to drive the ball towards home plate. Is it going to support me? Am I going to tweak it again? And you have the pitcher up there, and you can kind of rest a little bit, just kind of think about yourself and your mechanics. You don't feel like you're going to get hurt by a pitch to the pitcher. You want to just kind of get yourself back together, get your rhythm and your confidence in your landing leg again. From earlier this inning, you see in the super slow-mo, he goes up, the top of his leg kick starts coming down, leads with that front hip. Now watch the front leg. That was the leg that kind of hyperextended, kind of tweaks it, goes actually backwards. You always want to firm up that front side, but not to the point where your knee actually goes backwards and kind of hyperextends. He has not walked a batter tonight. He has been on his game. 16 swing and misses tonight. His career high is 22. That happened all the way back on September 3rd, 2008 versus Pittsburgh.
He also came into this game having walked more batters per 9 innings than any other pitcher in the major leagues this year. He hasn't walked anybody tonight. 3-2 now, again on the pitcher, in danger of his first walk of the night.
Well, knowing that that leg has given way on you once, it slows your rhythm down, and that high and away fastball, or up fastball right there, was just strictly on poor timing. The delivery was fine. It's just the timing of the landing and the arm coming through.
Pretty good at bat here for Westbrook. Fouling off some pitches, making Jose Oquendo work. Yep, got it there. Just got it there. Nice of him to throw the ball to a kid wearing a Cincinnati sweatshirt. A high fly ball left center. Stubbs, 2 down. Coverage of Major League Baseball continues this week on ESPN. First tomorrow at 7 Eastern to catch Monday Night Baseball. The Chicago White Sox are in New York to take on the Yankees. Then Wednesday Night Baseball presented by Sears Lawn and Garden. An American League West division to battle the Oakland A's and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It's Major League Baseball tomorrow night and Wednesday night, or late afternoon Pacific time, Wednesday evening Eastern time. This week on ESPN, the Angels getting absolutely sensational starting pitching from Jared Weaver and Dan Herron. Herron is scheduled to pitch in our game Wednesday night. Here's Ryan Theriot. Theriot has grounded out and had a base hit. He's facing Volquez, who has retired 8 consecutive batters.
We're talking about his swings and misses out on the mound with Volquez. His high this year was 12, so he is on his game at 16 mark.
Or it looks like he tweaked that knee again a little bit, maybe on the last pitch, the way he flexed after.
You know, I think Theriot noticed that he tweaked it and showed that bunt just to make him come off the mound and see how he can react. There it is. Oh, what's going on? He really didn't get firm there. It slipped a little bit. No.
Looks like
It might be his groin. Actually, it might be his right groin, the way he reached for it there.
You're saying, Earl, tough to go about your business normally when you know you might be on the verge of really doing some damage, right?
I'll tell you what, if you're going to have leg problems, you want the back leg to be the problem because you can just brace yourself. But the landing leg takes about 6 times your body weight going down that hill into that leg. That is the strongest leg on pitchers, is the landing leg. Usually on a pitcher, if you got to look at them in a pair of shorts, you could see the girth in the landing leg compared to the back leg because it takes the bulk of all the work when you're coming down the hill.
Nolan Ryan had tree trunks for legs, but his left leg was definitely bigger than his right.
3-1. And there's the first walk given up tonight by Volquez. Rasmus, are you guys surprised that he hasn't gotten a visit? I mean, they've obviously seen in the dugout that at least twice he has landed awkwardly on that left leg.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for him to come on in to the dugout to check it. If anything happens here, Brian Price will be out to that mound to check him. He wants to get through the 5th for sure, though.
Albert Pujols waiting on deck if Rasmus can accomplish anything. Albert tonight a base hit and a strikeout. Rasmus has struck out twice. The good young players in the National League right now. Colby Rasmus hit over 320 last September, hitting over 340 right now. Has 3 home runs, 10 RBIs.
Remember, Terrio stole last time easily.
And he is dancing around like crazy at first as Rasmus pops one up. Foul territory, third base side. Cairo makes the catch with about 10 feet to spare, and Volquez gets out of the inning, leaving Pujols in the on-deck circle. A Baseball Tonight update when we come back.
John Kruk, Barry Larkin, zeros on the board. A pitcher's duel. Edinson Volquez set to lead off. We'll see how his leg is in the top of the 6th inning. We're also going to see the Philadelphia Phillies next Sunday night, although likely not going to see Roy Halladay since he pitched today. 8 2/3, an earned run, 14 strikeouts, Barry.
Yeah, it was typical Doc Halladay today. He was facing an offense that's been struggling to score some runs, and he took advantage of it today.
The other great pitchers on Sunday, James Shields, another complete game. Max Scherzer continues his role. And we'd like to hear from John Kruk, but he's busy eating. What?
Randy Wolf. His last start, he dominated the Phillies and Roy Halladay, and he does it again today.
Randy Wolf, familiar with Philly cheesesteaks, but here, Bobby and Oral and Dan challenged you to chow down, and you're doing it.
You ask and you get.
You ask and John receives. That's right.
How do you get that job?
I don't know if challenged is the word I would use. I think we all had full confidence in John to get the job done.
How are
Looks
they
good. And the rain is starting. Volquez leading off the 6th inning for the Reds and doesn't last long. 3 pitches and gone. Some of the big series coming up this week in the majors. For the second time in as many weeks, it'll be the Royals and Indians, the top 2 teams in the American League Central right now. The A's are at the Angels. We told you that's the Wednesday night game here on ESPN. And the Mets play at the Phillies next weekend. That will be our Sunday night game 1 week from tonight. The Mets are hot. They won again today, beat Arizona 8-4. David Wright hit a couple of home runs. The New York Mets have won 4 consecutive games.
They can move into first place if they stay this hot through next weekend. Think about it, Dan.
That's a big if.
That's a huge if.
I'm looking at the standings. That's a big if.
The Phillies have won 4 in a row. I don't think they gave up, but what, 2 runs in a series?
The Phillies are 15-6. They've got the best record in baseball. The Florida Marlins are playing well. They won again today, beat Colorado 6-3. The Marlins are 13-7, a game and a half back of the Phillies. Colorado, even with the loss, they're still doing well, 14-7 on the season. The Boston Red Sox are hot. They won again today, beat the Angels 7-0. So the Red Sox, after starting 2-10, have now won 8 of 9 since. Pitch fouled off by Stubbs. Meanwhile, a team that continues to struggle, the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox have lost 10 out of their last 11 games.
No bullpen, no offense. Disgruntled manager.
Westbrook's got it. 2 down. But American League Central almost looks like it's upside down compared to the preseason predictions. There's a guy who used to pitch in the American League Central, Jake Westbrook. Some very good years with the Cleveland Indians, a couple of 15-win seasons. He has not lasted 6 innings in any of his starts. The only pitcher in the National League to go 4 or more starts without going 6 innings. He is an out away from doing that if he can get the much maligned Brandon Phillips, who only amped up the booing this time a little bit with his double last time.
You know, Brandon Phillips is not an angry young man. He's an intelligent young man. He's so intelligent. He enjoys the celebrity. He enjoys Twitter. He enjoys mixing with the fans. The fans who recognized him at the mall actually came over and took pictures with him and thought he was a cool dude. And this guy's a lot of fun. And you know what? I'm surprised we're booing you. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game with him and the fans now. It's not real personal and angry. It's kind of just a fun loving thing.
Now to play 1-1. He does love to tweet, as he talked about in our pregame interview with Buster Olney. Boo Phillips. The weakest boos he's ever heard. Come on, St. Louis. He's egging him on a little bit. But that expression you see on his face in that picture, that's what Brandon Phillips looks like. When you walk into the clubhouse, he's an upbeat, fun-loving guy, and he's hitting the ball great in this series. And with speed to burn, he's on his way to second base and easily in there with his second double of the night.
Now, he might play the whole thing that he knows internally he needs something to get up for every game. So he picks a little fight, not an angry fight, just a little fight on purpose. Gets down, hits that ball out over the plate, goes down and gets it, and he is busting it out of the box. And no real celebration on second to rub it in, just his head down, a little tip of the cap.
And what the open base means is an intentional walk for Joey Votto. Johnny Gomes is going to be getting a steady diet of this as long as he's the cleanup hitter with Scott Rowland on the DL.
Once again, if it was Scott Rowland there, it'd be the same situation.
Yep.
This is about Votto, not about who's coming up next. Oh, did we already have this conversation?
Never mind.
Actually, Dusty did talk about possibly putting another left-hander up behind him, and maybe Jay Bruce mentioned it, that they only have one left-hander in the St. Louis bullpen, and that's a good way to go if you think you're going to get him early, and a bad way to go if it's going to come down to a late situation. So keep flipping that coin.
So 2 on with 2 out for Johnny Gomes. Walking a fly out so far tonight. Just 4 for 21 this year with the runners in scoring position after being one of the very best hitters in the National League a year ago, but obviously a very small sample size this year. It's very early. And Gomes is a dangerous hitter. 6 home runs, 15 RBIs already on the season. As he takes a well-located pitch over the outside corner with the knees. 0-1. We have some activity now in the St. Louis pen, with right-hander Fernando Salas getting up. Westbrook, you can see the pitch count still pretty low, but he's in a bit of a jam here with 2 outs as he misses down and away.
They've been very successful tonight with that fastball away to righties where it looks like it's in the left-handed batter's box, and it comes back and catches the corner. And then as he gets deeper into the count, he throws a sinking fastball that looks like it's down the middle and then runs it in on their hands.
A light rain continues to fall here in St. Louis. As a manager, Bobby, when you're into the game has started, and now you know the bad weather's coming. Is there anything you do differently?
I hate the weather, and I hate to try to manage against the opposite team and the weather. But there are some things you will do a little differently, and in this type of game, if it's bad forecast, 1 run is huge. So you play it like it's the 8th and 9th inning.
Grounded to third. Inning over. Westbrook gets out of it, stranding a couple of runners. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th with Albert Pujols to lead it off for St. Louis. No score here at Busch Stadium. St. Louis as the raindrops continue to fall. Let's take a look now at our pro tips brought to you by Cabot Wood Stains.
2 ways to pitch. Give them what they're expecting and put in a tough place to hit, or give them what they're expecting and go the opposite way and fake them out. Albert Pujols was told by Volquez, I'm going to try and get you out with my fastball. But I get backed into a count where I shouldn't really have to throw my off-speed pitch, but I do. I throw back-to-back changeups after a whole bunch of fastballs. Even though I was in a hole, I'm going to go to my out pitch.
Pujols has had a lot of success in limited at-bats, as you can see, against Volquez. As we check out live K-Zone again for Pujols' 3rd at-bat. No score in this game, bottom of the 6th inning. And a breaking ball for a strike. Hannigan waiting for Pujols to settle in before he flashes the signs and then takes his position. This time kind of decoying Orel to the inside and then sliding to the outside.
Albert's first at bat, 2 fastballs away. He got a base hit to right field. The next at bat, all fastballs, possibly away, made a mistake in, and then got him out with a 2-2 and 3-2 changeup. Here, 2 breaking balls right away. The great hitters, you have to unload the whole holster.
2-1.
Other hitters around the league, you'll go strength against strength, and if you're getting them out, you'll just stay there until they prove they can hit you. But you're in a 0-0 game with Albert Pujols up, you're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink to get him out. You're going to keep him mixed up, and you're going to try to continue to execute.
Exactly, Earl. And earlier in the show, we mentioned about Joey Votto and Albert Pujols, MVP against MVP. This is great Dominican pitcher against the great Dominican hitter. So bragging rights are on the line every at-bat.
A pop-up. Volquez wants it, but Votto will come get it for the out. Sounded like a broken bat on a pitch up and in, right in on the hands of Pujols.
You know Albert can hit everything, but what you hope as a pitcher is that he will go outside the strike zone and get himself out, and that's what Albert does right here. It's not a real good pitch by Volquez. This is an up and in, and I think it's actually a changeup, not a fastball, but it just gets in on the hands of Albert. It just shatters that bat.
You like him to die a hero. When you break a good bat, you want it to be on a base hit. That soldier went down the wrong way right there.
Yeah. One down here in the bottom of the 6th. A bullet dodged for Volquez, but here's Matt Holliday. First pitch swinging, slicing it down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Holliday digging for second and in there in a slide.
This is the big league stand, and you saw a lot of perfection in that at-bat. You had a fastball away, perfectly struck by Holliday down into the right field corner. There it is as he swings and drives it low and away down into the right field corner. And then you see Bruce fielding this ball one hop off the wall with his bare hand and making a very good throw to second base. This is Major Leagues at its finest. He's in at second, but the defense did everything it could to keep him off of second and try to throw him out.
And now an intentional walk coming to Lance Berkman. They didn't seem to mind it when their guys did it to Votto, but they don't like it when the Reds do it to Berkman. But again, it's the percentage move. You've got a rookie and Daniel Descalso on deck getting a start at third base tonight. This is just the play to make.
You gain 130 points in batting average if you're the defense. Go from a guy who's National League Player of the Week to a rookie.
And Earl, again, you don't know about this rain. If the sky's going to open up, will one run right here in the 6th inning be all that's needed? Both managers had that in mind.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. And by Verizon. Power your business with Verizon to 4G LTE, the fastest, most advanced 4G network in America. Sunday Night Baseball from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and a threat for the Cardinals. Runners at first and second with one out in the bottom of the 6th. Here's Descalso, 24-year-old rookie infielder from Redwood City, California. A third-round pick in 2007. Was up briefly late in the season for the Cardinals a year ago. Got 34 at-bats. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts here tonight. David Freese getting the night off at third base for St. Louis. Descalso in his place. And he'll take the changeup outside for ball 1. Activity now with the Reds. Pen right-hander Nick Massett and left-hander Bill Bray. Dusty Baker in particular pointed out before the game and said how well he's throwing the ball so far this season. They've got Bray and another left-hander, of course, Aroldis Chapman.
He's throwing it okay, too, isn't he?
He's getting it up there pretty good these days. 103, 104. Change up for a strike. So here we are, Bobby, getting back to what you were talking about. The weather's a factor. Nobody knows how long this game may go on because the threat of severe weather is coming. You're just thinking one run, right? You're just thinking scratch out a run here, get a lead?
You want to get a lead just in case the sky's open. Anyway.
Inside.
Another thing a manager has in his mind when you're in the visiting dugout is not to take too much time. You don't want to really have the coach go out and talk during this time, because if that one run does score, you want to give your team a chance to get up and get even.
Jams him, and a pop-up in foul territory for Votto. 2 down. Descalso retired. Now Yadier Molina coming to the plate.
Well, I really like that situation with Volquez and Hannigan, the catcher. There was a little shake-off. Hannigan insisted on the ball being inside. He executed the pitch inside, jammed the hitter, and right afterwards, Volquez was pointing at his catcher saying, hey, that's a good play. Nice way to keep me focused and making me make the right pitch at the right time.
Here's Molina. The Cardinals are now 0 for 5 tonight with the runners in scoring position, out hitting the Reds 5-3, but they've left 5 men on. 2 down with Holiday at second and Berkman at first. First pitch swinging, a drive, deep left center field. Gone! After so many missed opportunities, the Cardinals get a huge hit and a curtain call for Yadier Molina, drilling a 3-run homer to left center field to break the scoreless tie. Three to nothing Cardinals. Nick Punto is the batter. Known more for his defense, of course. Molina's a guy who's delivered some big clutch hits in his career.
The St. Louis fans took a risk today to come to the ballpark. It was raining a lot of places they were coming from, but when they got here, there was no rain. They took a risk and stayed here and rooted on the Cardinals. The rain started, and they stayed. And now they got a 3-run lead and a stand-the-man bobblehead, 15,000 of them.
Pretty good night. With the rain expected to get heavier soon. Here's the 1-1. The Cardinals winning on Friday night. The Reds coming back with a win yesterday. Both teams are 11-10 on the season. Right at the top of that very crowded National League Central. All the teams just about right near the 500 mark. Cardinals going to Houston to begin a series on Tuesday. Crowd still buzzing after that Molina home run. A 2-out 3-run homer on the first pitch that he got from Volquez. And a walk.
Listen, Volquez has been getting the fastball and the changeup down. Molina never let him get a chance to get to the changeup. He jumped on the first pitch he saw, a fastball low and in, right in his sweet spot there, Bobby.
Yeah, he put a good swing on it. It looked like he was looking for the fastball down. Not a well-executed pitch. He knows he wanted it away. Left it a little on the inside third. Lack of concentration. 3 runs later in the shower. Gonna have a pitching change here because now you'd want to come up, but we'll make the pitching change.
Dusty Baker to the mound. Volquez, after getting in and out of trouble on a few occasions tonight, just could not get that critical 3rd out in the 6th inning. CIN, Hannigan, and Baker talk it over on the mound. Nick Massett, the right-hander, is going to be coming in from the bullpen for the Reds. St. Louis has taken the lead on the home run by Molina. 3-0 Cardinals. In the bottom of the 6th inning as the rain continues to fall here at Busch Stadium. A look at the swing that has changed this game. Molina goes deep. Jubilation for the Cardinals, frustration for the Reds. Taco Bell. And welcome back to soggy St. Louis. More rain, and it's expected to get worse. Fans don't really much care right now, though, after that 3-run home run by Yadier Molina off Edinson Volquez has given the Cardinals a 3-0 lead. Volquez out of the game now. The new pitcher for Cincinnati is right-hander Nick Massett, who in a couple of innings 2 days ago for the Cardinals. The numbers aren't great. And Dusty Baker says this is a huge key, Oral, for them in the bullpen. This guy has to pitch well.
He has a great arm. You talk to anybody around the league who has some of the best stuff. Electric fastball, great slider. Nick Massett comes to mind, but he's off to a slow start. 3 blown saves so far this year.
David Freese comes off the bench to pinch hit for Jake Westbrook, who goes 6 shutout innings tonight and is in line for a win. And first Punto, who walked. 2 down in the inning. And it was a 2-out home run by Molina that gave the Cardinals the 3-0 lead they now enjoy. Freese off to a great start, hitting .348. A couple of homers, 11 RBIs. He's the regular third baseman for the Cardinals. At the belt for a strike.
You can see why he would blow some saves throwing that 94 right down the middle there.
He had a couple good innings on Friday. He's a confident young man, but he's more confident when he's on a roll. And I say that he's not the fighter that you sometimes want to see coming out of the bullpen with a big, huge ego.
Big curveball for a strike.
He really builds his confidence each individual outing, right from the first pitch, where some guys come in and they could get off to a little rocky start and fight through it. And Nick has a tendency to kind of feel the outing the way it's going and can't really stop the bleeding sometimes.
Success does build confidence, though.
Yep.
Swinging a grounder to short to Giannis. The short way to Phillips to force Pinto and end the inning. As we have come to the end of 6 here in St. Louis. But what a difference the bottom half of this inning made. Yadier Molina giving the crowd a jolt with a 3-run home run to left center field. First pitch that he got from Volquez. Fastball just above the knees, inside, and he drilled it. 406 feet. The curtain call for Molina, and the Cardinals lead 3-0 at the end of 6. Seventh inning, 3-0 Cardinals under a light but steady rain here in St. Louis that is expected to get a little more serious over the next little while. See if they can get this one in before it gets too heavy. Jay Bruce leads off the inning for Cincinnati against a new Cardinal pitcher. Right-handed reliever Fernando Salas is into the game, making his 4th appearance of the season. After 6 really good innings from Jake Westbrook. Salas began the year down in the minors. As mentioned, now his 4th appearance. The Cardinal bullpen is one of those question marks for this team right now. Ryan Franklin's not closing anymore. Mitchell Boggs is closing right now, but Tony La Russa doesn't want him known as the closer and says things are still subject to change as Salas shows a nasty changeup whirl to get a swing and a miss from Bruce.
He had great arm speed on that pitch right there. Set it up with some hard stuff, and then the changeup actually has the change of speeds and also has the movement. Tremendous movement there at 85 miles an hour.
There's Miguel Cairo, who stung Ryan Franklin with a 2-run single in the 8th inning yesterday, giving the Reds a 5-3 win. Yesterday it was Miguel Batista, Trevor Miller, and Ryan Franklin who combined to give up 3 runs in the 8th inning. So it's been kind of a hit and miss situation for the Cardinals out of that bullpen. As Cairo takes a strike. When we asked Tony La Russa before the game, what's been the most pleasant surprise for you this year? You mentioned Freese and McClellan. Guys like that. He talked about the young arms in the pen stepping up, actually, as you can see, who hasn't pitched in a while. The young arms in the pen and how they've progressed. And his quote was, none of them are afraid of the 9th inning. He says he's liable to use anybody in any situation, whether it's Boggs, whether it's Salas. Eduardo Sanchez has been a revelation for the Cardinals this year.
He has to go bullpen by committee now. When Ryan Franklin, your anchor, is struggling and you get pulled from that closer role, then everybody, it's all hands on deck. No matter who he has as first choice, it moves everybody up the totem pole.
Now, of course, the reason that the roles are up in the air right now is that there have been some failures out of that bullpen. They've blown some saves. Ryan Franklin in particular has not had a good start to the season. He heard some booing here in St. Louis as Salas freezes Cairo over the outside corner for the second out. So this is why there's the concern, and this is why right now Franklin's not the closer. And Bobby, you know as well as anybody, tough to be in a situation where you lose leads late. Nothing is more demoralizing for a team than losing games in the 8th or 9th inning.
You just don't know how many runs you have to score. The starting pitchers don't know how many innings they have to pitch. It's very unsettling.
Ryan Hanigan.
The Cardinals are not the only team that have had a bad end of the bullpen. Fernando Rodney's had trouble in Detroit. Joe Nathan, Matt Thornton in Chicago, the White Sox. John Axford, Milwaukee Brewers had some problems.
Somehow the Phillies have survived it with their good starting pitching. And they had Contreras out there, but now he's on the DL with a sore shoulder, so Charlie has to go back to shaking and baking out there.
At the knees, 2-1 on a Hanigan. Activity in the Cincinnati pen. Logan Ondrusek is up. Ripped down the left field line, but a foul. Hanigan out in front, 2-2. That stung a little, huh? Crowd of 38,201 here in St. Louis tonight, which has been thinned out some by the rain, which has been falling steadily for about the last hour. And a grounder to third. Inning over. 2 strikeouts and a ground ball. Pretty impressive stuff for Salas. 7th inning stretch. We'll see Albert Pujols batting in the bottom half of this inning with the Cardinals leading 3-0. Ballpark. The rain not bugging those young guys one bit. Cardinals 3, Reds nothing as they finish up singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch here in the rain at Busch Stadium. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Here it comes. And it's supposed to get here pretty soon. Now we have been fortunate so far Earlier today, the weather forecast for this area was a 90% chance of rain with possible severe weather, and it was supposed to start raining a lot earlier than it did. We're into the bottom of the 7th. It has been raining since about the 5th, but it is still plenty playable if it doesn't get any worse than this. Top of the order for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 7th. Shortstop Ryan Theriot, 1 for 2 with a walk.
World fields today are built so perfectly. They drain so well. The dirt is such a perfect mixture that it doesn't cake up and cause problems for the fielders and the runners. And because of that great design, we're able to play through this stuff very often here at the major league level.
Grounded to short. And a nice dig at first by Votto for the out.
So overlooked at first baseman's defensive ability. Joey Votto takes pride in picking, saving errors from his fellow teammates. You get a big star for that, Joey. As that throw comes over, he has his right foot on the bag. He gets his glove down and comes up to catch the ball. It's always easier starting down to come up than it is to be in the middle and decide which way to go. Good job, Joey V.
Here's Rasmus 0 for 3. Bassett still on the mound for Cincinnati. And a breaking ball for a strike. 1 week from tonight, we will be in Philadelphia. We will see the Phillies with, if everything goes according to plan, Cliff Lee would be on the mound that night against the New York Mets. 0-2. White Sox and Yankees tomorrow night on ESPN. A's and Angels Wednesday night, 7 Eastern, 4 local time on ESPN. Down and in with the curveball. There's all kinds of NBA action coming your way on the ESPN family of networks. More games Friday night and again on ABC Sunday afternoon. Here 3-0 Cardinals, bottom of the 7th on a Yadier Molina 2-out 3-run homer in the bottom of the 6th. Rasmus strikes out for the 3rd time tonight.
Dan, you know, we always talk about balance when we talk about a swing and we talk about a fielding position. We know that a pyramid's the most balanced structure known to man. Here Albert keeps his head over his belly button and he keeps his hips between his knees between his feet, and he's balanced throughout this entire swing. It's a wonderfully executed swing. His foot's off the ground when he makes contact. His back foot, that is. Perfectly transferred weight.
Is balance just God-given, or is that something you can work at and improve as a hitter?
No, you know, Mike Piazza couldn't dance, but he had balance as a hitter, and you could learn to have good balance.
High throw, and Votto comes down on the bag to record the out on Pujols. Pujols limping a little bit as he makes his way back to the first base dugout. We'll keep an eye on that during the break and see what he is like as we go to the top half of the 8th inning. Votto has made some terrific defensive plays tonight. Cardinals are gone in the 7th. Swing of the bat, a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Cardinals lead 3-0 as we go to the 8th, as we take a look now at our game track, brought to you by USAA. A terrific performance by Jake Westbrook, who came in with an ERA of almost 10. Edinson Volquez survived the 1st inning, which had been his big problem, but then gave up the home run with 2 outs in the 6th inning. And some changes now for the St. Louis Cardinals. As we go to the 8th inning, we saw Albert Pujols limping up the first baseline after hitting that ground ball. And Pujols is done. He is not going to come out for the 8th inning. So Tony La Russa has brought Lance Berkman from right field into first base. He's going to switch gloves right now. He comes into first base. John Jay will come to the outfield for the Cardinals. And the new pitcher here in the 8th inning is a guy who has done a terrific job so far this year for St. Louis, right-hander Eduardo Sanchez. Sanchez goes into the 3 spot in the lineup. John Jay into the 9th spot. Just 4 appearances for Sanchez, but look at the success that he's had. He's become a real factor, Bobby, suddenly in meaningful situations for the Cardinals out of the pen.
He has balls that move all over the place, or a real confident, cocky pitcher. A lot of guys get upset because every out that he gets, he'll gesture to the hitter.
He's kind of an entertainer, and I like it for the game. It doesn't really offend me. I never was really a hitter, had to make my money that way, so maybe it would. But, you know, it's kind of good for the game.
Just 22 years of age, Sanchez. Pop up back out of play.
Danny throws mostly 2-seamers, and he's got a cutter and a hard slurve and a changeup. So he's got a repertoire that would fit a starter. But right now, coming out of the pen as a young guy, gaining some experience. And it's a big need for the Cardinals right now for these young guys to do well.
He's from Venezuela. Was signed by the Cardinals in the winter of '05, began his pro career in 2006, so he has paid his dues 5 years in the minor leagues before making his major league debut this season. Got it. Wow. 96, letter high, 1 down. So Giannis is retired for the first out of the 8th inning. This is again Pujols with the chopper, and right about there you can see something gave, something grabbed, and he pretty much shut it down.
This is one of the concerns that people have of Albert. Thick body, great athlete, but will he break down? Will those legs break down? Will that hip, get so stiff that he doesn't turn on balls the way he is right now? I think he'll be fine.
Chris Heisey comes up as a pinch hitter.
But you have to be concerned about 7, 8, 9, 10 years out, how those legs are going to hold up.
Short term, the Cardinals have an off day tomorrow. They don't play again until Tuesday night in Houston, so they've got almost 48 hours to see how Pujols is doing. Heisey, an outfielder, batting in the pitcher spot here in the 8th inning with the Reds trailing 3-0. Whoops. 0-2. Meanwhile, in the Reds' pen, left-hander Aroldis Chapman, always a guy that everybody wants to see come into the game, except the guys who have to actually go out there and face it. But the fans and the broadcasters and the teammates, just a nice, easy 103. Reportedly, although there's some dispute, reportedly threw a pitch at 106 last week. But different radar guns had it at different velocities. Some had it at only 103. How can a hitter have any idea how to hit a ball that's coming in at 103 miles an hour? How do you have any time just for your brain to tell the rest of your body what to do?
Well, Bobby, you had to try and hit it when you were playing.
2 down.
Well, they say you have 0.4 of a second. If it's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, this means you have about 10% less as it gets to 105. I think that's a lot of That's a lot of difference. You really have to start quick, and you have to be sure that it's not at your face. That's the major concern that most hitters have. Once he shows that he has the control, it might be a little easier to zoom in on him. And he has had pretty good control. Hasn't hit many batters in his career thus far.
But also, he's got the slider, too. It's not like you can... I mean, you kind of have to sit on the fastball.
That's the unfair part.
Yeah.
A big league hitter can time a bullet. After they get by the fact that I am not going to be hit, and they know the pitcher has enough command, they can time a bullet and they can hit it. But the equalizer, or the unfair portion of the repertoire, is when the ball starts to break.
Stubbs the batter. Center field. Inning over. What a job by Salas in the 7th and Sanchez in the 8th. Still 3-0 St. Louis. By the MLB Fan Cave in New York City this week. Hall of Famers Mike Schmidt, Raleigh Fingers, and Ozzie Smith spending some time with Mike O'Hara and Ryan Wagner, the two lucky fans who will be sharing their experiences at the cave all season long. This is the best part. Raleigh autographing the handlebar mustache on the wall. Check with them at MLBFancave.com. Meanwhile, bottom of the 8th inning here in St. Louis. The Cardinals lead the Reds 3-0, trying to take 2 out of 3 from their division rivals. And yep, Aroldis Chapman is going to be bringing the heat. Threw as hard as 106 miles an hour, according to the scoreboard radar gun at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Has not given up an earned run this year. You can see 7 walks in 8 2/3. So, Oral, is that? I mean, that's even a little more unsettling for the hitter. He's throwing over 100, and you're not quite sure he knows where it's going all the time, right?
As long as it's not at your head. But if he gets it close and he walks your ball 4, you're probably kind of glad to walk down there in one piece.
Matt Holliday, the batter. 1 for 3, doubled and scored his last time up. Now, Chapman last week pitched 4 times in 5 days. And on that 4th appearance, his fastball was down to 92, 93. So they sat him down for a few days to get the fatigue out of his arm. He pitched yesterday, pitched fine. Back here, back-to-back days. A couple of fastballs at 98.
Dan, it does beg the question why he's being used when they're behind in a game. There you go. Average fastball went down, didn't it?
It's not average.
Grounder to short. Holliday retired 1 down. One of the questions about Chapman Oil, and I know this, you've taken an interest in this. What's the ultimate role that best suits Aroldis Chapman? Is it your best pitchers? You want them either to be starters or closers. Do you see him as either of those eventually?
I think they're going to try him at both. We've got the bullpen situation right now, but we're going to find out if his body can take the 3-4 days in a row. Can his arm respond? Or does he need the 4 days off in between after throwing 100 to 120 pitches as a starter to get back on the mound and stay healthy for 10, 15, 20-year big league career?
Exactly, Earl. It's about recovery right here, isn't it? It's not about role necessarily, because they can pitch him anywhere because he can get hitters out, but they'd like to know how he can recover. If it's a couple times, 3 times a week.
Not messing around so far. Nothing but fastballs, and all of them at 98 or 99 miles an hour as he's out in front of Berkman 0-2.
He has the slider and the changeup, so he has the repertoire already built in, and they are polished pitches. Out of the bullpen with the adrenaline. Down by 3. He's just going with the heat right now.
Berkman fights it off down the right field line. Thinking 2. And in there with a double.
Another fastball goes right at him. This one hits 100, the hardest pitch he's thrown here tonight. We saw Matt Holliday hit a hard ground ball to short. Now Lance Berkman gets the barrel of the bat on it. It's down to the right field line. He's not real late. He's just making sure he makes solid contact, gets a good look at the ball. That makes his timing a slight bit late, but it's a blink of an eye, the difference between a ball down the left field line and the right field line.
Now a left-handed batter in Descalso. And I would think as little fun as it is to hit against Chapman as a right-handed batter, it's a whole lot less fun to hit against him as a left-handed batter. And who can speak to that better than our buddy John Kruk? Remember, against
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson,
flipped
right?
his
Yeah.
helmet around, and was that the All-Star game?
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Took the other side, laughed. And
Chapman's delivery is similar to Randy's. Similar size, left-handed, obviously. Rotates late.
Chapman gets out over his front leg a little better than Randy as far as the finish and taking the pressure off his arm and putting it into the big muscles in his legs, where Randy had a little bit of a recoil.
Outside, says John Hirschbeck. The count is 2-1. That's one of the things about baseball. When you sit up as high as we are, or you watch at home on TV, the speed of the pitch, it's tough to do justice for. You see it a little bit better from this kind of a low home camera. Get a closer to the view that the hitter gets, and how little time they have to make a decision.
Further away from the game you are, the slower it looks.
Yeah.
The closer you get, the more it speeds up.
Rain continues to fall here in the bottom of the 8th inning. The Cardinals leading 3-0. Berkman at second with 1 out. The winner takes 2 out of 3 and moves back into top spot of the National League Central. And a strike, full count. And there's Mitchell Boggs, at least for now, although he doesn't have the title or the corner office or anything like that. He's the closer. He's the guy right now getting the save situations for Tony La Russa, who doesn't want to put any more pressure on him by calling him the closer.
Don't call him that, Dan.
He's the guy who's going to pitch the 9th inning and save situations.
That's what you got to call him.
He's first choice.
And again, who knows if Ryan Franklin, if he pitches well, if he gets his old job back, or if it's Boggs's to keep right now, assuming he pitches well. There's a walk. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And in part by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of MLB, specially formulated for men. With Bobby Valentine and Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney, Wendy Nix down in the field, Carl Ravitch, John Kruk, Barry Larkin here with baseball tonight. I'm Dan Schulman. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning, and here's the guy responsible for all 3 runs tonight. A 3-run homer by Yadier Molina, his last time up. Let's see if he can time one of these Chapman fastballs. Woo. Big bounce off the backstop, and the runners both scramble back. And now John Hirschbeck is out to talk with Chapman. Has he just issued warnings? What was John Hirschbeck going out? And he pointed over to the first base dugout, but it didn't look like a formal warning sign to both sides. What do you interpret from this, Bobby?
I think he hit a home run last time up, and he thought that pitch was thrown at him. It seemed that he was giving warnings to both dugouts. I can't imagine with 2 men on. But as we said, he has good control. Let's see what John does after this. Great carom. Way to play the rebound.
Ground ball to first. Votto to Janisch for 1. Back to first. Chapman there to cover as they turn the double play. We'll go to the 9th here at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals 3 outs away from victory. ESPN, a 3-0 lead for the Cardinals in the rubber match of this 3-game series. And Mitchell Boggs is on to try to nail down the last 3 outs, secure a win for Jake Westbrook, and to give the Cardinals 2 wins in 3 games in this series against their division rivals. Boggs has picked up a couple of saves, one as recently as Friday night, taking over in the 9th inning for Ryan Franklin, who has blown 4 saves already this season, which is 2 more than he blew all of last season. Must be Brandon Phillips.
He has 2 of Cincinnati's 3 hits, so they should boo him.
Both of them doubles. Hit a home run on Friday night. Has not had much success against Boggs. The word on Albert Pujols, by the way, some tightness in his left hamstring. That's why he was removed from the game. Some good arms in the St. Louis pen. We saw Salas mid-90s. We saw Sanchez mid-90s, a little more. Boggs mid-90s. They got some power arms, Earl.
And if the youth can come through and mature quickly, that will allow this St. Louis team to go a lot further and a lot less frustration these late innings. They lost the game yesterday in the bullpen.
Boggs has a good slider to go with, an upper 90s at times fastball. It is straight, but it comes in there pretty quickly.
MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Watch over 100 live out-of-market games per week online and on your favorite device. Visit MLB.TV for details. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count on Phillips. Boggs, originally a starter when he was coming up through the Cardinals organization, got to the majors, started some games for St. Louis, converted to a reliever late in 2009, and has seen more success in this role.
Rather interesting. He was a reliever in college, came in the pro ball, made him a starter, and now out of necessity, he had stuff, I guess, with the two dynamic pitches that he has. He's back in the relief role.
When he got his save this year, the first time since the University of Georgia.
Line to second for the first out.
You know that because they're nicknames, the Bulldogs, right?
That's pretty good. I spent a little time reading about him, too.
Now Joey Votto. Rain getting a little harder here now in the top of the 9th inning. And Phillips still enjoying some parting shots to the St. Louis fans before he disappears down into the Cincinnati dugout as Votto laces a ball into the right field corner. And he is on his way into second base with a double, a ground out, a walk, an intentional walk, and now a double for Votto, who incidentally didn't mention this earlier, has reached base in all 25 in every game, all 22 games, excuse me, this season in which the Reds have played.
Well, it took the MVP from last year to break the 3 relievers of the Cardinals' stroke. They were 7 up, 7 down till this swing right here.
You see once again that bat lag is perfect, his firmness is perfect. He's off the ground with his back foot on contact and pulls it down the right field line.
Johnny Gomes. Gomes 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. The Reds with just 4 hits in the game, 3 of them doubles. They haven't been able to score. They've left 4 men on. Jake Westbrook was great for 6 innings. Fernando Salas 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts in the 7th. Eduardo Sanchez 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts in the 8th. And now Boggs working with a 3-run lead, a runner at second, 1 out in the 9th inning. Ouch. When the game is done, we'll send you back to the studio. Time for Sports Center. Get you all caught up on all the NBA and NHL playoff action, as well as another busy and exciting day in Major League Baseball. Gomes shakes off the pain, digs back in. Three and 1. A walk brings the tying run to the plate. The Reds have not been shut out in a game this year. They are the highest scoring team in the National League entering tonight. Jay Bruce waiting on deck. They got a lot of guys with some power. At the knees, outside corner, 3 and 2. Johnny Gomes with a quick little step and a little hop step back into the batter's box.
The Reds love to come back in games. They do it in the 9th inning regularly.
Got him. 2 down. Well, they have braved the weather. They have gotten their Stan Musial bobbleheads. They have yelled at Brandon Phillips. And they're an out away from getting rewarded with a Cardinal win. Jay Bruce 0 for 3. 4 Bruce fights it off to stay alive. If he can get on, the tying run would come to the plate. Miguel Cairo is on deck. All the runs scoring on Yadier Molina's home run in the bottom of the 6th with 2 outs off Edinson and Volquez. Got him. So the St. Louis Cardinals take 2 out of 3 from the Cincinnati Reds. Here this weekend, tonight's Chevrolet player of the game is Yadier Molina with the 3-run home run back in the 6th inning. All the offense the Cardinals would need thanks to Jake Westbrook and Orel. A terrific job by 3 Cardinal relievers.
They came in, they only gave up the hit to Votto. They were on. They got 2 good pitching performances, one from the starter, Jake Westbrook, and then the bullpen.
Nothing like a little clutch hitting, too, Bobby, to really make it all worthwhile. Huh?
After an intentional walk to Lance Berkman, Volquez thought he was out of the inning. Had 2 outs, grooved the fastball. 3 runs later, he gets the loss.
Jake Westbrook gets the win for the Cardinals. He goes to 2-2 on the season. Edinson Volquez takes the loss. He'll fall to 2-1. The save for Mitchell Boggs, his 3rd. Again, the final from soggy St. Louis. The Cardinals beat the Reds 3-0. Coming up next year on ESPN, stay tuned for SportsCenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Orel Hershiser, Bobby Valentine, Wendy Nixon, and Buster Olney, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching and so long from St. Louis. Now, let's send you to